Everyone, this is the East Bay Regional Park District Board Operations Committee, and today is December 17th, 2020, and we are starting almost on time. It is 12:31. We are meeting this afternoon pursuant to Governor Newsom's executive order, and our main headquarters at Peralta Oaks remains closed until that order ends. So I'm going to ask our secretary, Denise Valentine, to tell you how you can contact and participate in this meeting.
Thank you, Director Rosario. So for members of the public just wishing to listen in on the meeting, you may join by the YouTube link provided in the agenda, which is on the Park District's website. For members of the public that wish to comment, you could submit comments via email to the recording secretary at boardopscommittee@abparks.org. You may leave a voicemail at 510-544-2500, or you may join the Zoom link and let us know which items that you wish to speak on, and you will be addressed as those items come up.
Great, thank you. And can you please take roll call?
I sure can. Director Rosario.
Here.
Director Wieskamp.
Here.
Director Waspy.
Here.
AGM O'Connor.
Here.
Excellent. With that, we shall begin. I believe item number 2 is review of PG&E lease renewal, Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve.
And I believe we have Renee with us, and all I'll just do is you might recall that our last meeting, Director Waspy asked us to go back and look at the numbers on this lease agreement. I think we have some better numbers for you, Director Waspy, and some background information that we've provided. And with that, I'll pass it off to Renee. Renee, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Share my screen. If you could let me know if you see that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay. So today we're going to present to you the Pacific Gas and Electric Company property lease renewal. It's for a telecommunication radio site in Clanton Ranch at Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve. And I'm Renee Patterson. I'm an administrative analyst 2 in Operations Business Services Department. And today here we have, along with Jim, who's the AGM of Operations, we have Tiffany Margalisi, who's the Business Services Manager, and both she and I went over this after our last presentation, so we think we have the answers for you today. But I'm going to present as if it's brand new. Also here today, I think is Terry Noonan and the park supervisor at Black Diamond, Rex Caulfield, went over this information with us, but I don't think he's here today. So the location of this is at the end of a road that PG&E built and that they will continue to maintain. You can see that the shape of the location is a square, and there's an L-shaped building there, and there's 2 towers. This is the satellite view because I always think that it shows the location a little clearer. It gives you an idea of what the surrounding area looks like. This site came to us through a purchase of 852 acres in April of 2011. The site itself is 0.7 acres, and this is a microwave antenna facility for radio communications for PG&E. So the current lease will end March 31st, 2021. The current rental rate paid by PG&E is $6,000 per month. PG&E maintains the site, the structures, the equipment, everything there, the fence, the road, and a little bit of the perimeter of the surrounding land for fuel break. The sublease at the location is the state of California, their General Services Department, and they pay PG&E $2,600 per month. I did call State of California General Services to verify that amount, and that is what they pay per month. The payment to the Park District is 25% of the $2,600, and that comes out to $650. So PG&E pays us $6,650 per month. The difference between what they are paying us and what they collect from their sublease is $4,050. So just to go over what we're trying to do, we want to renew that existing lease agreement for 10 years and with an additional 10-year extension at Park District's sole discretion. The new fee will be $7,000 per month. And then at the 10-year mark, it will increase $1,000 for the next 10-year term. The co-location will stay at 25% of the income that they receive from their sublease. So for the recommendation, Park District staff recommends that the Board Operations Committee approve and recommend to the full board the renewal of the lease agreement with Pacific Gas and Electric Company in Clayton Ranch, Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve for a 10-year term with monthly rent of $7,000 and co-location rent of 25% of PG&E income. The Park District shall have the right to renew the agreement with an increase in rent to $8,000 per month for an additional 10-year term. And I also have here a slide of the agency comparison for cell sites. And the monthly average revenue for the Park District sites is $3,678 per month. And then for the others, the average is $3,254. So if you have any questions.
Okay. Directors, discussion. We'll start with Director Waspy.
Okay, I'm trying to read, whoops, I was trying to read that deal. Did you do a comparison with Hard, Hayward Area Recreation Park District? I don't see it on there. It could be because I can't read. No, there's nothing. You know, my contention all along has been, I think that for another agency to take our property and lease it from us and then turn around and lease it and make money is, I won't call it unethical, I won't call it anything, but I would call it only us getting 25% of the cut on it as, well, I don't think that's enough. And I think, I know some of the reasoning behind that today was saying that they maintain the road. So just, does anybody know the length of the road that they maintain?
I don't know. I don't know myself. I believe we have Terry Noonan here as the unit manager. He may have some more information. Terry, can you pop your video on?
Yes, good afternoon, Director Rosario, Director Waspy. I just joined the meeting. Which road are we discussing?
This
The
is
road that
PG&E.
he maintains up to their communication facility.
Is this the one on Craigor Peak?
Yes.
All right. It's been a while since I've been there, but I'm going to say it's a mile to a mile and a half, something like that. At some point in the distance past, it was paved. We had some discussions on that for the Park District purposes. I don't know that we need to have it paved, but we do use that road.
Okay, and do you remember how long ago it was paved?
A long time ago.
Yeah, and so once again, that would be my point. My question would be, supposedly we have a benefit from them maintaining the road. If the road's a mile and a half long, that's pretty long. I'd be interested, next question, if I were negotiating a contract, would be how often do you maintain it and what are the costs of maintaining it? And then in your document, it says that the access is paved and maintained by Contra Costa County and PG&E. And then I'd like to know the numbers. Is it 50% PG&E, 50% Contra Costa County, or is it, or what are the numbers? Or did PG&E get a 25% cut like they're proposed to get from us? And you know, just philosophically, I mean, I know this isn't much money, but I personally think that the regional park district's finances are, I think, to tighten our belt in the next few years. And I think everybody's going to need to tighten their belt. And the opportunity to take a big corporation like PG&E, they've had it for 50 years. I'd be interested in how many times they paved the road in 50 years. I'd be interested in knowing in all of how much they really maintained it. And now they're turning around with our land, making money off of it and saying, here, I'll give you 25 cents on the dollar for what I get for this. And, you know, just I'm morally opposed to that. I don't think that should be the deal. I think this was a great opportunity to negotiate with PG&E. They're not going to leave. I mean, you know, I hesitate to use the word leverage. I don't like that word too much. But I think we have all of the leverage in the world on this contract, because PG&E desperately need these sites, especially now when they're being held responsible for burning down a big portion of the state. So I think this was an opportunity, or is an opportunity, to say, no, wait a minute. You had that for 50 years with some, I will never suggest an unsophisticated rancher, but it's not happening anymore. We're going to do business like a business person would do. And I don't think any business person, I can't think of any scenario where you would say, I'm going to lease you a piece of property for a certain amount of money, and then you're going to, you have the ability to sublease it and make more money. I mean, at some point, I think I did the math the last time. I should have done it again this time. They're going to pay us $7,000 a month. And how much are they making off of it? With the co-location fees, 25% of what, I can't do that math. Oh, the sublease is 2,600. So, you know, they're netting out pretty good there, in my opinion. And I think we should be getting a better cut of that. That's philosophically the way I'm positioned on this one.
AGM O'Connor. Go.
Director Waspy, one of the things, I understand your philosophical position on it. We supplied with you, Renee, to give you, I think you might have a copy of it, the comparison data. And I guess the thing I would say is that the PG&E lease rate, as you can see from the chart, is near the top of the monthly revenue numbers in comparison to other agencies, including our own and our own sites district-wide. So I guess the question is the net is 4,050, which is above our average for all of our sites. And I guess the question is what is the market for this type of site amongst public agencies? So that's what's one point, you know, that we bring the comparison data is we're not outside of the market rate for this type of lease site on public property. And then the other thing is that the state of California is most likely a public service. I'm sure it is, in terms of a communication activity. And we've often given, it's been our practice to give, you know, there's a lower rate on public services like that. So that's another thing just to consider in light of this recommendation. But well, I'll let the rest of the board members or the committee members have their say, but I just wanted to point that out, that they're pretty far towards the top of the market rate in our comparison study.
Well, and my only response to that would be, I would assume that as leases come due, and that's the way we used to work in the wastewater industry, the waste management industry, as we'll talk to Andrew about it in a couple of minutes, is every community, when their lease or when their franchise agreement comes up to haul waste and recycling, you automatically go to the top of the list. We've got a new negotiation. I assume all of these people will be rising up, and especially with PG&E needing these facilities more than ever to alert people when they're turning off everybody's power. And to suggest, I mean, if we really want to suggest that the state of California is a friendly group, I say great. I don't want. Let's give it to them free and not, or give it to them for $650 and not allow PG&E to make money off of that deal. Because I don't really at this point consider PG&E a friendly utility at this point in the game. And I think we had an opportunity to renegotiate, like we probably are going to have to in the future. I think we're going to have to really tighten our belts in the future and look for opportunities like this. And I think every one of these leases, when they come due, look at what other people are getting. I think we should be at the top. I think we own the ridges. What the heck? We got the best locations. But you know, it's okay. I will be voting no on this, but it's okay if we want to forward it. I'm okay.
Director Wieskamp.
Well, yeah, I think you make a good argument. But I think maybe we need to gather information about what is the competition out there. I think I'm willing to vote yes on it with the condition that for this next year, we're going to look into the potential of changing it if we feel it should be higher for the sake, because we're a public agency and we're going to need the money. I think that's valid. But I think we ought to at least grant it for this year and then say we would like to look at numbers and perhaps renegotiate next year. Renee needs something to do in this following year, right? Our expert.
Director Wieskamp, or you're suggesting a much shorter term, a 1-year term?
Just while we renegotiate.
Okay.
See if there's a new number, and that would be for the rest of the total time. How's that? Does that seem reasonable to you, Dennis?
Sure. I because I think you would feel PG&E out if you said we're only giving you a 1-year lease because we don't think this is equitable to us or that we can do better. And I think they'll flinch and just say, of course, we need this site. We'll pay anything. We had a 50-year lease.
Well, let's don't get carried away. But yeah, I think there's a room.
Yeah, 1 year
room to go up. Yeah.
Chair Rosario, I see Tiffany has her hand up too.
Yes.
Oh, I can't see Tiffany.
Hi, thank you, Tiffany Margolisi, Business Services Manager. So I definitely agree with the opportunity of having this lease come up to negotiate. And I just wanted to elaborate further on what Renee said to really speak to the negotiation that we are proposing. And I just want to make sure it's clear. In our comparison chart, which we're looking at on the screen, this is showing the comparison where PG&E falls at their current, the current rate that they pay. And in the new lease, we are proposing to increase that by $1,000. So where they're at on the bar is where they currently are as a comparison to other sites. And when we increase, they will further rise up very close to the top of the list, because I do agree with that concept of when it is up for renewal, this is our chance to bump it up. My second item I just wanted to clarify is that when we inherited this lease, it was at a 10% rate on sublease, and we brought that 10% up to the 25% on subleases, which is our standard rate for subleases across comm sites. And then, so those are two areas where we did take the opportunity to negotiate and really boost this rate up. The third area that I wanted to just touch on in the comparison chart, which everyone has a copy of, right, so you can look at it more closely. If you're like me, I can't really read too well what's here on the screen. The comparison chart is representative of research that Renee has done. And also quite a number of these are very, very recent numbers. I admit it was a little lucky, but on the CPRS, California Parks and Recreation Society listserv, since the last BOC meeting, there was a discussion thread about comm sites and rates. And so a number of these are currently negotiated rates, and you can see they are significantly lower than what we're charging. So I did want to just bring up those points for the committee's consideration, that we really embrace this opportunity for negotiation.
Great. And then I too would be, I totally get where Director Waspy is coming from, and I do believe this is a time to negotiate. And I think a 1-year contract for right now, to see if there's any more we can get out of it. Also, especially in light of especially the parks in East County, we're dependent on those leases to maintain a lot of those parks. So so I think we should do our due diligence in that respect. And if we could get the numbers on actually what the maintenance costs are that they're providing, I was under the impression that road was paved, and but it sounds like it's not. It hasn't been for. It was originally paved, but now is not really.
It's still paved.
Is it still paved?
Yes.
So so we should get those maintenance numbers and cost, what it maintains, and with that in mind, I think it sounds like we have a consensus, but we'll take a vote. Can we? It sounds like we're agreed to a 1-year term and to go back and negotiate. And if there's, see if we can get a better deal.
Are we going to be looking at our price and that sublease where maybe we want higher percentage in this year?
Okay.
Let's look at either or both of those. Why not if we're going back?
Mm-hmm.
Nate, could you go back to the recommendation page so we can see the terms?
There they are.
So let me make a stab at the revised recommendation by the committee. So we're going to basically change the term. The fees are going to move up to $7,000.
Right.
With a co-location rent of 25%, and then the term is going to be for 1 year. Correct?
Right.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's what all the three of you are going to vote on, is a 1-year term, $7,000 monthly rent with a co-location of 25%, and we'll renegotiate over the course of the next year and bring this back to Board Operations Committee.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we should take a vote. Denise, can you do a roll call vote on accepting the recommendation as amended?
Director
First, I need a first and I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Excellent. So we have a second and a motion and a second, and we'll take a roll call.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Rosario,
Aye.
so moved.
Thank you very much.
Keep Renee out on the mountains.
Okay. Item number 3 is review amendment for renewal of the SUA with Society of the Preservation of the Carter Railroad Resources Incorporated, Ardenwood Historic Farm.
And
Okay.
back to Renee again.
Great.
Share. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Good. Okay, I'm Renee Patterson, Administrative Analyst 2 for Operations, Business Services Department. And also here today is Tiffany Margalisi, who is the Business Services Manager and my supervisor. And also Ira Blett should be here, who is the Regional Interpretive and Recreation Services Manager, who oversees Ardenwood. And then Sonia Gomez, who's the Supervising Naturalist 2 at Ardenwood. So we're going to review the approval of an amendment for renewal of a special use agreement with Society for the Preservation of the Carter Railroad Resources, Inc. At Ardenwood Historic Farm. So also here today, I believe, I'm not sure, I haven't seen him check in, but we should have Jack Burgess. He's with the Society for the Preservation of the Carter Railroad Resources, Inc., which I'm going to refer to as SPCRR for the remainder of this presentation, because it's much easier to say. Jack is the liaison with staff and also with me when we talk about payments and things like that. And that's a picture of him there on the screen. So we're going to go over the location, the background, the public benefits of having this special use agreement, the actual use itself, and then we'll end it with the staff recommendation. So this is a stylized map of Ardenwood that comes on the brochure. I think it's a really well done map. If you could see it close up, which you can't really hear, but the location of their car barn, which they built and is owned by them, is that red dot up in the corner there of that back field. The location of Ardenwood, and then again, another satellite view location of where their building is. And here you can see the building actually in that red circle. The arrows are sort of my only way of giving you a sense of where the track is. The track, they don't use the track to go all the way to their building for the public, but that is where it ends up. And then over here in this area, at the end of this red arrow is the beginning of their track as the public sees it when they come in. So a little bit of background, SPCRR entered into an agreement in August of 1983. They had multiple options on that agreement. They have been there since the very beginning of Ardenwood. In 2010, we did a special use agreement with them for 5 years with 2 additional 5-year options. And we're still in that agreement. We're on that last option period, but we amend it every option period to not only approve having that term, but also to approve the 5-year budget of the term. So during the second term, we changed the operation from horse-drawn to steam or diesel engine-drawn rail cars. And at that time, we took the payments down to reflect the difference in not having to take care of a horse anymore. So the public benefit is that they do a little bit of an interpretation of their railroad service. Here you can see the engine pulling a couple of cars for people to ride in. On the left-hand portion of the picture is from their railway day, where they have activities set up for children and families and things like that. They also have a big event at Halloween, which is completely done by volunteers and members of their group, and looks pretty elaborate, as you can see from the pictures. This is just a closer up picture of people riding in the rail cars. You can see that each car has staff there or volunteers that do a little bit of an interpretation of the Carter Railroad services and the history of the Carter Railroad. So their special use is use of their own building. It's sometimes referred to as a museum, but they use it as a car barn. That's where they do all their work on their engines and their cars, and they do renovations and things like that. Then they also have a train ride, and that's what we're making payments for to them. The train ride takes you through the farms, fields, and then to the north woods of Ardenwood. And then the final stop is at Deer Park Station. And of course, that has just a short walk over to the farmyard and the Patterson house or whatever. And then if people want to, they can actually ride the train back as it goes back to the station. So their special use also covers the car barn. This is a close-up picture of it. You can see the different engines that they have there and the track that leads out from the car barn. This is inside the car barn where they're storing all the equipment that they have. So just to explain a little bit about how what kind of work they're doing, it's done mostly, I would say 90% by volunteers. They have a few paid staff. The paid staff are working the train ride itself. The volunteers work in car restoration, maintenance. Maintenance of way means taking care of the track. They do the history of SPCRR and California railroads in general. And then for operation, volunteers operate the trains on special event days and maintenance of way. And then all the scheduled train rides for the public that happen 3 days a week are done by employees. And they have a little bit of administration that's tied into keeping all that together. So this is their proposed budget for the next 5 years. They want to increase their paid crew from 2-person to 3-person for the same 3 days per week. They're also working with Sonia Gomez, the park supervisor, the supervising naturalist, on their interpretation program, on improving it and expanding their interpretation program. So the hourly wage rate is listed here, and then the total for those wages based on the whole year, 3 days per week for 3 persons. And then the additional things that we have agreed to pay for in the past, which is the cost of maintaining the engines and their insurance, and then sort of a payroll accounting cost. So this total for the first year, which is 2021, 57,192, is only a slight increase over last year, which was almost 57,000. And then you can see how much it increases over the 5 years. So the recommendation today is Park District staff recommends that the Board Operations Committee approve and recommend to the full board the third amendment of the 2010 Special Use Agreement with the Society for the Preservation of Carter Railroad Resources, Inc. for the second additional 5-year term for operation of a steam and diesel railroad from their car barn in Ardenwood Historic Farm at a cost of $57,192 for 2021, $57,594 for 2022, $60,251 for 2023, $60,726 for 2024, and $62,311 for 2025. And additional services shall be compensated separately as directed by park staff, not included in these amounts. So if you have any questions, I believe Ira is here and Sonia, and I also think Jack Burgess might be here as well.
Great. Can you take down the the share screen so that I can see everybody?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Wieskamp.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a question for Ira, I don't know, or for Sonia. When classes come, is this part of what they get to do there, ride the railroad?
Yes, this is Ira Bletz, Regional Interpretive and Recreation Services Manager. Yes, the classes coming to the park as part of their visit are scheduled for a train ride on Thursdays and Fridays, which are the biggest school days at Ardenwood. Also, the public coming into the park on those days also has the opportunity for a train ride, depending on the number of classes that are scheduled. One of the positives in this agreement I see for service to the public is that by adding that third staff person, what that means is an additional car. We have additional capacity on the train so that we can carry more riders with that. And, you know, the train really, railroads are an important piece of Ardenwood's story. George Patterson, the railroad crossing his property, and Clara Patterson using the trains not only to support the farm, but also to travel. And Newark was a railroad town, and the Carter brothers built rail cars, which the SPCRR, as a museum, they are actually preserving rail cars that were built by the Carter brothers and then restoring them and operating them. And so it's more than just a ride, but the ride is a very valuable and amazingly popular feature at the
I
park.
know it's popular. Do we give them a leaflet or something with a little history to go with that?
SPCR does have a brochure, and I Jack can speak to that, but they do have a pamphlet. They also get a history when they're on the train.
Oh, I think it doesn't hurt to take it away. And if the kids want to come back again, they can give it to their parents then and say, hey, this is terrific. I don't know whether we could think about producing something, a simple one, because I think it adds so much to the charm of Ardenwood.
Yeah, Ardenwood has something that is a kind of a please come back brochure that school teachers get a packet of for their class. And basically it's for the students to take home to their parents.
Okay.
And it talks about what they did. And then if the family were to come back, what programs and opportunities were available. So that's part of Ardenwood's regular
it's your
school program piece of giving that that sort of, you know, while your child was here, look what all the fun things they did. That's part
I've missed Ardenwood. I didn't get to, I was going to go in a little break and then it disappeared. But it looks good in the picture.
Right. Also, I'd like to mention that the admission fees at Ardenwood are different on different days. And so on the days when the Patterson House is operating and on the days when the train ride is operating, there's actually a higher fee that is paid, and that additional revenue is used to offset payments to the city of Fremont and to SPCRR.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Director Waspy.
I highly support this. I've ridden that train a number of times with my kids and my family, and I want to compliment you, Jack. Your volunteers are very entertaining. They're very educational, but they look like they're having a really, really nice time, and they surely show that. And I sure enjoy riding. So I will heartily support this.
It's neat.
And move it too, by the way.
Great. And then just as a clarification, because I didn't get a copy of the hard copy in my packet. So clarification, is this something that the park, this budget, is this something that comes out of the park district, or is this the SP? Okay, got it. And then
it comes directly from Ardenwood's budget, which Sonia oversees.
Okay, great. I think, Sonia, last time I saw you, you were over at Coyote Hills.
Yes, she moved. Not very far, though.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
We're very glad to have her at Ardenwood, too.
I did read about the people that came in for the corn, all those cars. I was impressed. They all missed being there, and that tells you how much and how much they like the corn, too. So thanks for doing that.
Well, I'm sure they miss our Coyote Hills as well. And
Aye,
Jack,
yes.
thank you for the service that your company provides. It really is a draw to Ardenwood and a draw to the Park District as an intro to what else we can deliver. And I'm just happy to see that we're paying the new workers above minimum wage, which we just established this year at $15 an hour. So I'm happy to see that we're following through with that too. So
Did Dennis make a motion?
yes, we need a motion.
Dennis, you want to make it?
Yes, I move that we accept this proposal.
I'll second.
Great. We have a motion and a second, and we'll take a roll call vote. Madam
Director
Secretary.
Waspy,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Rosario,
Aye.
so moved.
It's unanimous. Thank you so much.
I keep telling families
you.
about the place, but I tell them they've got to wait a little while.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully
And
soon.
Thank you, Jack, for joining us. Appreciate that.
You do a great job.
And now we're at item number 4, district-wide solid waste management program update.
Just a quick introduction before we hand it off to Eric and Matt and Andrew. These gentlemen have been working diligently to improve our recycling program and our solid waste program overall. We just recently completed a study which we're going to bring separately to the Board Operations Committee and the full board on a separate track. Because it's an important study about waste reduction, and we needed to have that on a whole separate track. And what I've asked Matt and Andrew to do today is just really tell us what's been happening in the last year or so, how things are going with the pilot program that they've been rolling out. And I think you're going to be pleased with that. And with that, I'll hand it off to Eric.
Thank you, Jim. Eric Bowman, Maintenance Superintendent for the district. Matt Norton and Andrew Green are subject matter experts in solid waste reduction. The majority of the mechanisms that our agency has to reduce solid waste and divert waste has been put in place by these two gentlemen. I can't say enough about how competent they are at what they do. It's no small task considering the size of our agency. And with that, I'll just let Andrew take it away.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
As Eric said, I'm Andrew Green. I'm the Sanitation Recycling Coordinator for the East Bay Regional Park District. And my supervisor is here, Matt Norton, the Sanitation Recycling Supervisor. You've met the Mass Superintendent, Eric Bowman. And also we have Acting Mass Chief Richard Guest. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the district's solid waste management program. Isn't that a beautiful shot of one of our park assets? I'd like to start with some background. In 2004, recycling was added to the sanitation supervisor responsibilities. In 2008, Alameda County banned green waste from landfill, and the sanitation department was tasked with setting up green waste collection services for all parks. In 2011, the recycling sanitation coordinator position was established and started adding recycling bins to parks. Recycling and composting are mandatory in California, and the state has a goal of 75% waste diversion. In 2018, this board passed Resolution 04081, encouraging recycling and waste reduction, and the Waste Reduction Task Force was established. Another law requires district food concessionaires to provide sustainable food packaging. This year, the general manager committed to additional recycling and compost bins in response to a community survey. A new law just went into effect requiring 3-stream bins with recycling and composting opportunities wherever food waste is generated, such as picnic sites, office kitchens, and events. We also follow district-created performance objectives to guide our work. Some may think recycling ends with tossing paper in the bin, but that's just the beginning. Recycling is a process of properly separating our waste, sending it off to be sorted, then converting it into a raw material to make a new product such as a bottle, blanket, or a cardboard box. We worked with a solid waste consultant to analyze our trash generation and help us calculate our diversion rate. The diversion rate is diverted waste, such as separation for recycling or composting, divided by overall total waste. The Park District's diversion rate is 38%, which was calculated based on generation between July 2018 and June 2019. As I mentioned, there's a state goal of 75% waste diverted from landfill. The next slides will describe our current solid waste programs and future goals. There are actually about 15 different waste categories we must consider here at the district. We started bottle and can recycling back in 2011. It's been very successful. There are over 400 of these green boxes throughout the district. The Bay Area has moved into commingled recycling to efficiently collect paper, cardboard, bottles, and cans to be sorted later. A major component of our waste stream is compostable materials, plant trimmings, food scraps, paper towels, paper food containers, fruit peels, and leftover food are all acceptable in compost programs. These materials are processed locally and do not rely on overseas recycling constraints. We've increased compost collection to 28 locations throughout the district. The finished compost is a rich soil amendment which can be applied to gardens, farms, and parklands to improve the soil. Some parks use worm composting to generate castings and worm tea on a small scale. If organic waste is not separated at the source, it will be sent to landfill, where methane can be generated and released into the atmosphere. We have containers for metal scrap recycling at North County, South County, Sunol, Del Val, and Pacheco. Clean lumber, concrete, asphalt, and building material debris can be recycled at North and South County Corp Yards. Maintenance crews can also take loads directly to recycling facilities from the job sites. And we have trailers available for mobile C&D collection for departments that don't have dump trucks. Universal and hazardous waste and electronic waste must be also separated for proper processing. Batteries are separated by type for recycling. It is important to cover the ends of lithium batteries to prevent short circuit. Other materials requiring special consideration include pressure-treated lumber waste and transite pipe. I work with one of our vendors to pick up our pallets for reuse. Vehicle waste and mechanical equipment is processed through the fleet department. And we have the online bulletin board to share unneeded furniture and filing cabinets with other departments. Things which cannot be recycled or composted or are not properly sorted at the source go to the landfill. We also have portable bins for waste separation at many special events. Volunteers, as well as myself, have monitored waste separation at events to help educate our park visitors. We developed these 3-stream bins on the left in 2016 and tried adding picnic site compost sorting as a pilot project for the first time. New compost trash recycle indoor systems were installed in the main office and Trudeau Center. We met with AGM O'Connor and were directed to set up a waste reduction task force to improve waste diversion and comply with regulations. The task force is chaired by 2 managers. All 6 park operations units, interpretive services, creative design, public affairs, and the sanitation recycling departments are all represented. The task force decided to improve the original pilot project, which involved installing new exterior and interior 3-stream bins. Kennedy Grove tried the first of the new Bear Savers. One problem staff identified there was waste migrating from one bin to another inside the unit, as well as an issue of food sticking to the chute doors. These problems were mitigated by working with the manufacturer to design and install custom interior divider panels along with non-stick chute covers on all future orders. The creative design group came up with these color-coded graphics to help park visitors understand how to sort their discards. Here is a 3-stream Bear Saver unit outside of the Tilden Environmental Education Center. These are the interior sorting bins. The bin on the left is for restroom paper towel composting and trash. The unit on the right is for park, office, kitchen composting and recycling. We're working with creative design to update the graphics for the 3-stream program. This information panel describes some of the benefits of recycling and composting. You may see some Latin words here, which are just placeholders for future language translations. This chart shows the parks which are participating in the pilot program and how many exterior and interior bins each park is using. Every park needs collection service for compostable materials, and park staff needs training to understand how materials are to be sorted. Staff and park visitors are starting to sort their waste, but there is room for improvement. For example, there seems to be some confusion about dirty diapers, so we are adjusting the graphics. At some picnic sites, it seems that waste is sorted more successfully than at others. The pilot program was started in 2019 and planned to run for 1 year. Unfortunately, we were not able to collect data this summer as picnic sites were closed down due to the pandemic. We have received an additional 32 Bear Saver 3-stream exterior public bins to be installed in the future to expand the pilot project. The task force plans to evaluate the program data and present waste reduction recommendations by the end of 2021. We've also been successful in working with parks and hauling companies to negotiate lower cost. For example, the waste hauler in Livermore planned to significantly increase service costs for Del Val, but we were able to negotiate lower rates, saving an estimated $80,000 per year. Wildcat Canyon was being charged $6,000 per year due to inactivity, which means the trash dumpster was not picked up at least once per month or so, and we were able to eliminate that charge. A new contract was started for Tilden Park in 2018, lowering their cost by $19,000 per year. Our consultant developed a new waste services contract, which helped achieve these savings. The custom contract gives us more control and requires haulers to report volume data for our tracking. Anthony Chabot's current service provider asked for a significant price increase going forward. We contacted 2 additional vendors who bid on the service, and we'll be starting with a new contractor at a much lower price, potentially saving approximately $83,000 per year. We were able to use the same custom solid waste contract used at Tilden as a template for Anthony Chabot.
I want to just jump in for a second, Andrew. A really important aspect of these revised agreements is that we're going to be getting data. One of our biggest challenges is we were trying to gather data from field staff in terms of tracking, how many times dumpsters were emptied, et cetera. It's just really difficult for them to be consistent in that. So building it into these contracts and making a responsibility of the hauler is a really important step forward. And that's part of the study we're going to bring to you next year, is talking about that, because ultimately, we're going to need to do a much better job at tracking waste so that we can really effectively talk about our diversion rate. So anyway, hats off to Andrew and to Matt for really working hard on this. But I just wanted to point that out. I think it's a really significant development in these new contracts.
I'll add, negotiating lower cost is certainly a worthwhile thing to do too. Congratulations.
Thank you. Just finishing up here, some of the waste reduction goals for the next 5 years or so are to develop a staff training program in Summit. We have met with a contractor about creating training videos. Another goal is to develop a waste diversion tracking database, and we would like to set up district-wide waste hauling contracts, as Jim had mentioned. We have procured recycling and compost collection service at 28 locations and are working towards expanding participation of all district parks and facilities. The pilot project will be completed and recommendations implemented. The major goal is increasing waste diversion from 38% to the state goal of 75%. Also, our consultant developed a zero waste action plan report, which we hope to present at a later date. We've made great progress towards waste reduction and still have a ways to go. Thank you. You have any questions?
Thank you.
You've come a long way.
Let's see.
Andrew, you want to stop screen sharing so the directors can see everybody?
Yeah, I can't. Thank you so much. Questions from the committee?
I think you're well on your way. Good job. It's a complicated issue. The more you can make it simple for the public and get them in the habit of doing it everywhere. And I know I've seen it at Coyote Hills when they had events where people were there showing worm composting and what to put where. And I think the more reinforced, the better the habits are. So good job.
Great. Director Waspy.
Yeah, I'd just like to extend my congratulations to Matt and Andrew. You guys have done an incredible job. Specifically figuring that one out, figuring that haulers didn't have exclusive rights to certain areas. To figure that one out was a really, really good one, because now there's competition, whereas if you're in your city, you have no competition. Wherever you live, it's what your city agreed with a franchisor to pay. And Andrew and Matt both figured that one out and created competition, and have created a great savings to the district and better service, I might add. So I applaud you guys on that. And I enjoy what you guys, I love your goals. I hope you can accomplish them as when you were young pups. Remember when I used to feed India? I hope you have an environmentally preferred purchase program, because we can control what we do with staff by not buying stuff that gets thrown away, or not buying stuff that becomes waste, or not buying plastic products. So that we can control that. It's going to be a little more difficult in the park district. I always used to say when I was involved in that, you know, it's all great at my home. My waste reduction or waste diversion at my residence at home, I'm over 90%. But if I had to do like the park district does and invite 25 million quote guests, some of them were invited, some weren't, and say, hey, could you please do the right thing? That's a difficult nut to crack. And I'm glad you guys are trying it, and I wish you all the greatest success.
Great. Yeah, I think you guys have started a great program here. I'm glad to see the Bear Saver cans idea has caught on. I think I brought those, I introduced those to the park district when I was a park supervisor, with the help of the foundation. But my goal then was just to keep the raccoons out. And it works great. They haven't figured it out yet. But,
now you may jinx them.
Yeah, but now this is a great program. And is there, who checks to see that? How are you monitoring how well these cans are doing, making sure that that each stream is being used for the right product?
You've really asked the right question there, Director Rosario. That is critical. Of course, we can put all these bins out there, but how well are they going to be received? And we are just asking the rangers to take a look at the stuff real quick on top. Take a peek in there, and if it looks really good, go ahead and put it into the recycling or compost collection vessel that they have at the park. Unfortunately, Sometimes they're pretty bad and mixed together, and that will just have to go in the trash as it was before.
Yeah.
So we're trying to educate and improve the graphics, and it's getting a little better. Some places are I think the park visitors are embracing it and treating it properly.
Great. And then one last final, I think the other hurdle is that I sure would like to see us get out of the plastic bag business. I know as a park ranger, they're really, really convenient, but we do use a lot of plastic. And if we can find an alternative that works, that would be great. And I know the city of Oakland uses waxed cardboard, but I don't know how I've never had to service those, so I don't know what it's like. But
So those the whole container goes in the trash, the wax cardboard. Is that how it works, or is it a liner in the can?
I think so. I don't work there. I just see the boxes, but I think they're compostable, but I'm not sure how it works there. But something that I sure would like to see us get away from using plastic bags. But with all that said, this is a great program. Carry on. I think we can get to the 75%. Just need an education program, and your people out there continuing to innovate and make things easier. More power to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your support.
Director Azar, just one more comment is that, this is an uphill battle we have. Even, one side that you've already mentioned is, and Director Waspy has mentioned is, the public, getting the public to cooperate, right? Which seems like a pretty small task, but it is not. And then we also have our internal challenges within our own staff in terms of workload. So 2022, the budget for 2022 is going to be significant because we're going to, over the next year, roll out the information from the consultant's report on solid waste management. And then we're going to have to make a decision district-wide that we're going to take what has been a pilot program. And I think they've done a great job of honing that down and working out some of the kinks of it. But then I think the board is going to have to make a policy statement at some point that says that this is what we're going to do. So Andrew and Matt have worked really hard to work with staff cooperatively, at least the voluntary staff, make this, make the cans. We're getting the solid waste contracting in place. And then we're going to have to just at some point pull the trigger and say, this is what we do. We do three-stream recycling, and that's what we need to do. So I think 2022 is going to be kind of our banner year for implementing the solid waste management program.
Cool. Thank you so much. I think this was an informational item. And yeah, we're ready for the next thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And now we are at item 5, Tidewater Outreach Update, Martin Luther King Jr. Regional Shoreline.
All right, good afternoon, Director Rosario, Wieskamp, and Waspy. I'm Ann Kassabaum, the Chief of Interpretive and Recreation Services, to introduce, this is an annual update from Oakland Strokes regarding their community outreach program. And before I introduce Dana Hooper, who is the Executive Director, just to give you some history, in 2003, the Park District Board of Directors authorized an application for grant funds for the 2002 Resources Bond Act. This was a total of about $4 million to build the Tidewater Boating Center. It was a competitive basis for areas that have a critical lack of parks and open space, shortage of youth services, significant poverty and unemployment. An agreement was signed in January of 2008 by the Park District and Oakland Strokes as far as their agreement, 20-year agreement to lease the building number 2. And it's hard to believe, but next month, January, will be 10 years that the Park District and Oakland Strokes have obtained occupancy at the Tidewater Boating Center. I just wanted to give a quick update. I've got Jeremy Sato here as well on this meeting. He is our outdoor recreation supervisor in charge of Tidewater and all of the programs that occur there and throughout the district. We had every intention of planning a regular 2020 year, but with COVID hitting us and the world, we have been focusing our efforts on connecting virtually with communities through pre-recorded videos that are posted to social media, and including topics of fishing, knot tying lessons, and leave no trace ethics. In addition, we wanted to continue our relationship with many of our partners. And so we are still in contact with them, providing park district resources, letting them know that the parks are still open, but planning virtual programs and toolkit resources tied to a series of fishing and leave no trace camping programs. Some of these partnerships are Brothers on the Rise, which are located in Oakland, Radical Monarchs, also located in Oakland, Reach Ashland Youth Center in San Leandro, East Bay Asian Youth Center, and also the community of Richmond Community Services. With that said, we had every intention of doing offering day camps this past summer, and working with the COVID protocols and social distancing and all of that. We were ready to go into gear, and our community partners actually made the decision to not move forward. So staff shifted into doing roving programs, which are really kind of pop-up recreation centers, if you will, much like the naturalists do, where there's a table, we have lots of giveaways, Trails Challenge shirts and booklets and water bottles and maps. But what it did was, it was very organic. Staff was there, socially distanced with masks on, but it allowed us to engage with the public, answer questions, talk about park resources, not for just a particular park, but showcase the park district in its entirety. So we are continuing to work on videos and launching those as well. And you've seen our digital website page with interpretive services as well, but just wanted to give you a quick update. And so now I'm going to turn this over to Dana Hooper, Executive Director from Oakland Strokes.
Great, welcome.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. All right, and can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Fine.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Dana Hooper. I'm the Executive Director of the Oakland Strokes. I have with me Frank Clayton. He's our outreach coordinator. He's the gentleman who usually makes this presentation. However, this year he's also the chief child care provider in his household. And so if you were to share his video screen, you'd see his children participating in the video chat as well. Before I get too far along, I did want to acknowledge that we've been working pretty closely with the staff at the Park District to talk about our community engagement efforts. We've been working really hard to forge a much stronger and collaborative relationship with them, and we really look forward to continuing to work together to engage in the community and meet the challenges that the community currently faces. Special thanks go to Dave Zuckerman, who's now retired, but he was really important in forging those strong bonds, as well as Anne, Tiffany, and Jeremy, who are on this call and who we've been working with pretty closely over the past 9 months. So we've taken to calling our efforts or referring to our efforts as community engagement. This has come out of some self-assessment that we've done. We've taken the opportunity that COVID has provided to look interior. It's really been a top-down review of the inclusiveness of our own culture, starting at the board level and working all the way down. This has led to us doing things like reviewing our mission statement and modifying our mission statement, our athlete handbooks, our employee handbooks, looking at the iconography in our boathouse and things like that. We've also engaged in DEI awareness training for our board and staff, with plans to ultimately roll that out to our athletes as well. we're taking a really hard look at what we're doing, and one of the things that we're trying to do better is to have a larger presence within the Oakland community. So that means supporting the students in ways that are not necessarily associated with rowing, engaging in community initiatives and projects, leveraging our resources and human capital to support the local efforts, and to create direct and culturally appropriate recruiting campaigns for the local athletes. Within our partnering, we're working to create meaningful and lasting relationships with schools, community organizations, and city agencies. And really our goal is to build trust in the community by providing opportunities and resources for youth and their families. And once that trust is established, then we can turn towards creating programming that's fun, informative, and it creates paths to introduce rowing for middle school and high schools. We want to establish sustainable and duplicable models for partnering with the high schools and create pathways and opportunities for students to get onto the water at Tidewater. And that's ultimately our goal, is to get Oakland athletes onto the water at Tidewater. We've talked to you in the past about some of our established programs, including Erg Ed in middle schools and high schools, the Learn to Row days and camps. And then last year we talked about a new high school pathway to rowing program that we were working on. What we want to talk about this year are the programs that we actually have active during COVID. So this includes the We Lead Ours Community Erg Education, the East Oakland Youth Development Center Erg Learn to Row and Fitness Program, and the Arise High School Pathways to Rowing Program. The shaded portion of the map is the Oakland Strokes service area, and that consists of the student draw areas for Fremont High School and Castlemont High School. Starting in the upper right-hand corner, moving clockwise, you can see the We Lead Ours program, which is taking place in Brookdale Park on High Street. The East Oakland Youth Development Center program is taking place at their facility. You see the Tidewater Boating Center, that's where the Arise High School students are rowing. But then we've also pointed out where the Arise High School location is there at Fruitvale Park. So We Lead Ours, WELO. So during COVID, WELO created an outdoor tennis camp to provide physical education for middle school students. They noticed a need in their community to get kids out of the house and be active. Through our relationship with the Oakland Athletic League, we partnered with WELO to add rowing and fitness activities to these camps. So that consists of bringing our ergometers. You can see the kids on the ergometers there. And we also do things like calisthenics and other forms of just getting them active during the camp. It's an ongoing weekly program. The first session that the Strokes attended was on October 17th. It's a drop-in session. So we typically get 6 to 15 athletes per session, and about 60% of them return week to week. Also included on November 15th, we invited WELO to come visit Tidewater. They came down and rowed out on the water. And in this next slide, you can see them out on the water next to the High Street Bridge there in our rowing barge. We hope to be able to continue this rowing education at the local parks for WELO, as they intend to keep going as long as they're in the COVID lockdown. We're also talking with them to try to expand the COVID era programs to include fitness training for the athletes at Castlemont and Fremont High Schools. And then when it is possible after COVID, we'd like to partner with them to include rowing in the WELO after school programs and really be a partner that goes the distance. The next program that we'd like to talk about is the East Oakland Youth Development Center. The East Oakland Youth Development Center program is typically an after-school program, but when they looked at the needs of their population during COVID, they shifted to meet the needs of their community, and they offered spaces for students to access online learning. As we talked to them about how we might partner with them, they identified need for school supplies and PPE. And the strokes coaches and athletes helped assemble some of those school supplies and deliver them to the East Oakland Youth Development Center. You can see the delivery of the school supplies in that picture there. We also were able to help through a partnership with the Fremont Group provide PPE for them so that they could continue to run their programs. They also identified a need to create alternative PE for the students that were on their site during the day. So we created a program together where our strokes coaches came, brought our rowing machines, and we were running fitness classes 2 times a week. First session was on October 5th. The program is continuing, although they're currently shut down during the current shelter in place. They intend to pick back up again in January, and we'll continue along with them. They have 8 to 10 athletes per session, with 80% returning week to week. The focus is on the basics of erging, rowing terminology, and fitness. In the future, we have an ongoing dialogue with the East Oakland Youth Development Center staff regarding their needs and how we might be helpful. We're currently identifying an opportunity to get them to the water at Tidewater that's consistent with the COVID precautions that the EOYDC has in place. The largest obstacle there being transportation. The EOYDC students have an open invitation to participate in our summer camps at Tidewater. We don't know what those summer camps might be, but we do plan on having in-person sessions this summer at Tidewater, and we really want to bring all the students there that have done the program with the ERGs. The last program that I want to talk about is the Arise High School program. So Arise High School has limited sports programs and very few opportunities for their athletes to represent their school. So in our dialogue with the school faculty at Arise, they identified a desire to have programs that were specific to Arise students that allowed them to learn the sport with their peers in a supportive environment that encourages skill development and knowledge, with the understanding that as soon as they wanted to, they were welcomed into the strokes team. You see there, this was from last spring, right before the COVID shutdown, thus the non-social distancing. Those programs were at their school, and on this page you see the Arise students rowing out of the Tidewater Aquatic Center. So the ongoing program allows us to build a deep and meaningful relationship with the high school and support their athletes over the long term. In the spring of 2019, we had 8 students enrolled, and the COVID-19 shelter in place delayed the transition of those athletes. In the fall 2020, we have 6 rowers enrolled so far, and 3 are transitioning onto our novice team. And we believe that this onboarding program can be applied to other schools as we develop more partners through our community engagement. The last thing we want to do is highlight one of the Arise students, Francisco Prado. He's a senior at Arise. He started rowing in May of 2018. He wants to go into the medical field and be a cardiac surgeon. He also informed us yesterday that he intends to row in college. When we have a few quotes from Francisco that we really like and wanted to share. As a kid, I played soccer, football, tennis, basketball, and many other sports. But when I heard about rowing, I just felt like I should try it out. In just one day on the water, I loved every stroke I made as I rowed and the teamwork we all put in. When I went to boot camp, and I love that he calls it boot camp, it was our summer camp, but he saw it as a boot camp. When I went to boot camp, I raced with different people and both lost and won. Even if our team lost the race, we didn't put ourselves down. We kept our heads high and proud, acknowledging our defeat and preparing us for the future of rowing. And I really love that second quote because that's everything that we try to teach our athletes. And with that, I want to thank you, and we welcome any questions that you may have.
Great. If you could stop your share screen so I can see everybody. that would be great.
All right, I will. There we go.
Excellent. Questions from the committee? Director Wieskamp.
You know, I think it's great how you've used your imagination in this difficult period to keep them involved. You don't want to lose sight of the fact that there are other distractions when they can't go do what they originally intended to do. So I think this is terrific. More power to you. It seems like I like the fact that you're really trying to engage students that probably never would have even thought of rowing before and bringing it into their imagination, because I think it'll help them in various ways, including potentially continue on through high school into college. There's rowers all over the country. So I think you're doing well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Director Waspy.
Yeah, I would just say congratulations, and I appreciate all your outreach. It is a great program. I knew the founder of the Oakland Strokes, I still do, and I have some personal experiences with young adults that or kids at the time who got into rowing and were very successful. Rowed at Michigan State and Washington. So it's a great program, and like you say, unless you go out there and introduce it to folks, don't just kind of stumble upon rowing. It's not football, baseball, and basketball, but you guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to say you've really come a long way. I know when I first came on in 2017, I was skeptical of your program because I wasn't seeing kids of color in the water, and I'm really happy to see your efforts, and really happy to see that you're going through your DEI program as well, and the Park District is doing it as just simultaneously with you as well. We're all looking into that mirror, and I'm really happy to see the outreach you've gone into the schools in your area. Just curious, how does the area? Did you select that area for your outreach, or was it predicated on the location of Tidewater? And
I believe it's related to the grant that was used to construct Tidewater. That the grant itself had, you had to be making outreach into, and they gave like some sort of mileage. And I think when we negotiated the lease, we turned that into the coverage area for Fremont and Castlemont because that seemed like kind of a natural fit.
Yeah, that's great. And then, are you keeping track of demographics, numbers?
We're trying to do that a bit. We haven't kept very good track in the past, but we're trying to do a little bit better job of that in the future.
Yeah, I think that's important. I'm asking our own department in INR and Regional Parks Foundation to keep track of those numbers as well, just to show that our money's going where it says, say where it's going. Yeah, congratulations. And I would definitely try to keep track of those numbers and put that as a report too. Jim.
I want to mirror Director Rosario's comments, Dana and Frank. I've been at the district almost 10 years now and involved with the Strokes program that whole time. One of the measures that we have in our own program is what we call transference. Do you move them from the recreational programming into, for us, it's into, working for the Park District, into career pathways. And it's difficult to do that. And that was always one of the challenges I had with the annual presentation, was we weren't seeing, there was summer camp programs going on, but there wasn't a good transference into your competitive program. I appreciate the fact that you highlighted one of those students, but I think we'd like to see more of the participation numbers also reflected in your presentation that shows, total number of students participating and how many have moved into your novice program, et cetera, because I think that's what it's all about. And Director Rosario, you're correct. That service area was defined by the original grant for the development of Tidewater. And that was a difficult one because normally they throw a dart in the board and it's circular. And the problem we have with all of our lower income communities, urban communities are up against the bay, right? So they throw a circle around it and half of it is in the water. So that doesn't give us any credit. So we worked that out with the Tidewater grant, is that it went inland and we were able to define a service area inland and not include the water, especially for an aquatics facility. It's difficult. So anyway, I think a lot of kudos to both you. This is the first time we're starting to see some transference and that reflecting in your presentation. And I think that's great. That was the ultimate goal of the language for our agreement with Strokes, was to have some real transference so that those students in that service area could have that real opportunity compared to, the vast majority of your participants, which come from, wealthier communities and have those opportunities. I have one other question, Dana. One of the challenges we deal with in the Park District is overcoming some of the barriers of students participating in our programs. One of the big ones is transportation. And I was wondering how you're addressing that. So you have students that may catch the bug, the rowing bug, but getting from, even within the Oakland service area to get over to Tidewater. How are you managing that barrier that often is a big problem for these students?
Right. Well, I mean, currently we're not. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we can't pile them into the bus or into a van. But we have vans. We run shuttles, and the fortunate thing with the Arise students is that they're actually fairly close. So a lot of them are able to get themselves to the boathouse. We're looking to create some programs to get middle school students onto the water. And that would include transportation from their school to Tidewater and then back to their school again, so that they can be part of the sort of natural pickup that they have. And then should we be fortunate enough to have the high enough demand, we'd look into hiring bus services or whatever we need to be. We'll cross that bridge, hopefully, when we come to it.
We can all get back together again.
Yes.
Well, would Mr. Clayton like to say a few words?
I just want to thank you all for being patient with us while we figure this amazing jigsaw puzzle out. And Dana and I are both really excited about it because we feel like we have it sorted. And that's why you see the increase in transference over the years of diligence, of tapping into the community, figuring out what were the most pressing issues, and then addressing them one by one. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for the effort. Great. And I think this was just an information only.
But it's good information and we appreciate it.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate you being here.
Okay. Where am I?
You're in the forest, I can tell. You're lost in the woods.
I'm lost in the woods. Okay, we are now at item number 6, 2020 Board Operations Committee Work Plan Year-End Review.
So I'm just going to do a quick intro and pass it off to Ruby. Directors, one of the things that's been amazing about this year is, despite all of the challenges staff have faced, and some of them really serious challenges, life and death kinds of things we've been facing with this pandemic, a lot of stuff is getting done. And this committee is no different. We've actually covered a lot of ground, though we had sort of a pause there, back in March. We regrouped, and that's happening across the district. There's a lot of good work still getting done. And I commend a lot of staff for, regrouping, figuring this out and getting stuff done. And this committee, all of you, we've gotten a lot done too. I was surprised when Ruby gave me the year-end review. I was like, wow, we got through most of that. So with that, I'll pass it off to Ruby. This is her item. Go ahead, Ruby.
Yeah.
Hi there, everyone. Can you see the screen?
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm sharing the work plan. It should be in front of you, but it's always nice to have something to look at.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm Ruby Tembra, Management Analyst for the Operations Division. I will be reviewing the 2020 work plan to outline everything that we covered this year. It was kind of a weird year, as Jim said. We were faced with a set of challenges due to the pandemic, and I really want to thank you all for your flexibility in adjusting to this life of virtual meetings. as well as your guidance and support throughout the year. Thank you. Like Jim said, we did cover a lot of the things that we had intended to complete in our work plan, a little over 82% of the items. And anything that wasn't covered will be covered next year, or it was addressed in a separate committee. So with that said, I will quickly review the items that we completed this year. For policy reviews and recommendations, we did bring forth our 2021 consolidated fee schedule, which was eventually approved by the board and will be implemented next year. We did not cover Ordinance 38. This is something that we bring forward every 2 years. And in 2018, it was presented rather late in the year. So it would have been presented sometime in the last few months, but upon talking with public safety, they're still reviewing with legal, and we will bring it forward early next year. In terms of our concessionaire and special use agreement reviews and recommendations, we brought forward the review of the Brooks Island caretaker agreement. We were planning on bringing forward the Dunbar and Camp Store review of the RFP, but when this was bid earlier this year, we did not receive any responses. So we're going back to the drawing board, and this item will be rebid again next year. So we hope to bring it to you at a future date. We reviewed the Carquinez TXI property caretaker agreement, the Barones Girl Scouts of Northern California agreement. We did not review specifically the Arden Farmer RFP. We did bring forth an item, an agreement with Bear Flag Robotics for the section of this RFP pertaining to Coyote Hills Patterson Ranch, but the Ardenwood RFP will be bid out again at a future date. We also reviewed the Del Val Newfoundland Club special use agreement. We reviewed the Mission Peak AT&T communications site lease renewal. The Camp Arroyo I'm sorry, I did not highlight that item. The Camp Arroyo operator agreement will be brought forth again at a future date. We also reviewed the Tilden Gate live streamer special use agreement, the Black Diamonds PG&E lease renewal today, the merry-go-round extension, and we did not review the Lake Chabot Marine and Food. This item, we put it on here a little preemptively. It doesn't expire for some time, so we're good on that. We will bring it forward at a future date. In terms of informational reports and discussion topics, I'm doing this right now, a review of our 2020 work plan, and I will be shortly doing a draft of our 2021 work plan. We provided an update of the reservations program, and we also just provided an update of outreach programs at Tidewater. Both interpretive and recreation service units also presented updates on their units. And we also got 3 individual updates from recreation, parklands, and lakes units. These alternate. So one year we do 3 units, and the next year we'll do the other 3 units. Okay. Every year I provide an update on the concession maintenance fund and special revenue concessions and special reuse revenues. And that was done last month. We provided an update from the MAST department, and that was an informational overview of our work order system. We did not specifically address the residence program within this committee because that was an ad hoc committee item, and Business Services Manager Tiffany Margolisi just presented that the other evening at the board meeting. We went over our operational plan for Dunbar and Quarry, which is going to open at a future date, as well as our operational plan for the Judge John Sutter Regional Shoreline. And we just did a report out on our solid waste management program. If you have any questions on this item, I'm happy to answer it.
Great. Let's start with Director Wieskamp.
I am always amazed when I see this list at the start of the year and how many of them you get through, especially with a difficult year like this. No, congratulations to everybody, because your staff did adapt and it wasn't easy. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Director Waspy. Is Dennis there?
Maybe he's out on the golf course checking it out.
Sorry, I got to. Anyway, I think it's thanks for all the hard work. We do get lots of stuff done. I admire everyone's resilience and ability to work through all this, and I look forward to next year.
Great. I too am thankful that we were able to get so much done, and that's a tribute to you guys out there. And otherwise we wouldn't. And it is amazing what you've been able to do. I just have a couple of questions. Where was I now? Still in the woods.
He keeps getting lost.
Regarding the ordinance 38 biennial review, is there a timeline for when recommendations get submitted to the for review?
This item is brought forth by Public Safety, and upon talking with Lieutenant Love, I believe it'll be brought forward in January, and it will be later reviewed by the full board of directors after recommendation through this committee.
Yeah, I think Director Rosario, you're asking about the development process for the recommendation. Is that what
Right.
you're referring to? Yeah.
Yes.
So Al Love, Captain Love, reaches out to operations staff, and he gets input from all of our field staff in terms of any modifications we might suggest to the ordinances based on, you know, our past experience for the last couple of years. So he does do that process with field staff.
Okay. And so all those recommendations go to Captain Love?
Right, and then he compiles that, and then we go through the process with the Board Operations Committee and then the full board.
Okay, great. And then if board members had a recommendation, should we go through him as well?
Yeah, that'd be fine. And then of course, please copy the general manager on any of
Oh,
those
yeah.
communications.
Great. And then you answered my question about the Ardenwood farmer. So that's gonna be coming up with next month or
Next
the,
year.
next year?
Yes.
That is next. That is next.
That
year.
is next month.
I started to say, I think he's out of the woods. He knows it's next month.
I
There.
think
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Soon.
Tiffany's on, Director Rosario. Tiffany could maybe answer that question more specifically.
Yes, Director Rosario, regarding the Ardenwood RFP timeline, we are aiming for next month, which is also next year, and at the latest sometime in February, but we are aiming to get that reposted very soon. And then we will, of course, notify any attendees of the site visit through the previous round so that all interested parties will automatically be notified.
Excellent. And then my last question is, also with, it was actually with Camp Arroyo. As Vice President, I was privy to the request for board contingency funds for the Camp Arroyo electricity bill. Is that resolved?
No, Tiffany can weigh in also, but at this point, Director Rosario, we do have some operational funds that we've put aside in a project account to cover some of those costs, but most likely we will have to find additional funds in 2021 to cover those costs towards the end of the year. So yeah, we've got a partial coverage of those costs, but not a full full coverage.
And do we know why the electricity bill is so high when it's not operational?
Tiffany, Tiffany's done some digging with this with our chief of mast and other staff.
Sure, yes, thank you. And we also have Richard Guest here who recently did a PG&E review, reviewing all of the meters at camp one by one with our operator. And we have already completed some adjustments, for example, to the pool with the variable speed pump to lower the speed. Also, it appeared that certain routine items were running maybe during peak billing hours. So our maintenance staff with Richard's leadership is adjusting the timing of certain mechanisms so that they'll run at night when the billing is lower. And then we are even further evaluating if there's anything else that can be turned off. But there are certain things that just need to remain on, including the water pump and pool.
Yeah, I thought the I thought the pool was the jurisdiction of the Taylor family. No?
No, we manage the pool. They often have their own lifeguard services that they contract out for operating the pool in the summer, but we handle the maintenance of the pool.
Oh, okay.
The other thing, Director Rosario, that we determined, which I think is brilliant, is, you know, when the camp was originally built, one of the items that was put in there was landline phones to each of the cabin, especially during the Taylor camps, because of the fragility of those children that participate. And we're looking at eliminating those landlines because they are quite expensive. And Tiffany, you want to say anything more about that?
I just concur with what AGM O'Connor just said. The cell reception has much improved in the area, whereas previously there was no cell coverage, and now there's excellent cell coverage throughout camp. And so we have let UCCR know that they can renegotiate their contract with their phone service as soon as possible to decommission those landlines. So the funds that we were looking for and will be continuing to look for were for all fixed costs of keeping camp open, inclusive of electricity, but also phone service or other monthly items that have to be continued.
Great. And then will we still maintain a 911 phone line out there? Hard line?
Oh, yeah.
Correct. Yes. So there will be landlines, of course, still to the park office, Taylor Family Foundation office, and UCCR operator office. We just didn't determine it was necessary to have a landline to every single cabin, which is a significant cost.
Yeah. And then as far as the pool, have we looked at passive solar to heat that pool?
It has
I think we have some good news on that front. Hopefully, Tiffany, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we just working with Jeff Rasmussen, who has obviously worked on solar, our Shadow Cliffs array, have recently just completed a preliminary study of what it would take to have some solar on one of the biggest meters at camp, which covers the pool, a dining hall, and infirmary area. So we have analyzed the wattage that would be necessary and come up with a preliminary estimate, and then are working with the Regional Parks Foundation and the Taylor Family Foundation to explore if there are potential donors who would be interested in that. Camp Arroyo is not currently connected to the solar Shadow Cliff solar array.
So we would be looking to connect them to the Shadow Cliffs or developing its own array?
Developing its own array and inclusive of a shade structure with solar on it that would also help promote more outdoor learning space to keep kids outdoors and in the shade.
Yeah, that's a great idea because it can get very hot out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the schools and everybody else who's added the parking, and well, like Shadow Cliffs, you've got great parking, you've got great shade, and you've got a great place for the solar. So I think that's a good idea. Good chance of reevaluating.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you have to make lemonade out of lemons. And so we're taking the COVID experience and we're reevaluating a lot of these costs. But just to make that clear is that, you know, when we originally proposed the Shadow Cliffs electrical, solar array, remember, we were very limited into the numbers of meters that we could offset. We couldn't offset our complete, remember, we originally had a much larger array design to offset completely all of our meters. And we couldn't do that because there were specific laws that limited how much we could offset. So the meter at camp was not part of that offset of the original array. So that's why it makes sense for us to do a separate array at camp to offset that meter completely. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And I think it's, we're also looking at a backup generator, and we can maybe we could even add that an update on camp to the 2021 work plan and bring that back to board ops too. But I think there's some opportunities from excitement. So we're looking at a generator that would help us through the public safety power shutdowns that occur during the summertime there.
Good.
Great. Okay, that's all my questions.
No, if you still need funding, there is, from the budget, board contingency money was moved forward. And I certainly think if you need some, from my perspective, that's fine.
Well, what we might do, Director Wieskamp, is, that money, the contingency money is sunset every year with the budget. So the board contingency fund will be refunded in 2021. And what we normally do with contingencies, I know I do that with my operation contingencies. I hold off on, I'm pretty stingy with it right till I get to like September, October, unless we have something that's a health and safety type issue. But I try to hold it all the way off till September, and then if we have gaps, unknown projects, unknown facility repairs, then we try to deal with that all at the end. So we may be coming back to the board sometime in August or September if we need the additional funding. But I appreciate your thinking about us.
No, I think it's very appropriate. I think what we're doing out there is excellent. We're reviewing everything and looking at what can make it work better. So good job.
Yeah, I think in finance, we asked that possibilities for board contingency money be brought up at midterm or mid-year review, and then and beyond too. So the board members can be thinking about that ahead of time instead of last minute.
But I think hearing from staff on what's most needed makes most sense with the most value added. That's what I'm interested in. I don't care where it is in the district. Of course, I do like the fact that you're working out in my neighborhood at Camp Arroyo, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. This is good. So what's next?
All right, thank you. So that was an informational item, and with your permission, I'm going to move on to our next item. Just going to scroll.
Next
All right.
You just roll right into next year.
Kind of, that's how it works, right? This is the draft of the 2021 committee work plan. This is an opportunity for this outgoing 2020 committee to discuss additional items that you hope to add to the work plan, which will be finalized by the incoming committee upon secondary review in January, aka next year. All right, so these are the items. For policy reviews and recommendations, we will be reviewing the 2022 consolidated fee schedule, as well as the 2021 Ordinance 38 biannual review. We have a number of concessionaires and special use agreement reviews and recommendations. These include a review of the Dunbar and Camp Store RFP, a review of rental facilities caterer RFP, a review of the Contra Loma food concession RFP, a review of the Tilden Golf Course RFP, a review of the Redwood Valley Redwood Valley Railway Agreement. That's a tongue twister.
That should be.
That's not at Reinhardt.
Yeah, it's not at Reinhardt. That's at Tilden.
Oh, that is at Tilden. My mistake. I will amend that. We will review the Golden State Model Railroad Museum Special Use Agreement. We will review the Delta Access Agricultural Lease. We will also review the Oakland Strokes Lease. We will review Ardenwood Agricultural Lease, as well as the Las Trampas Stables RFP. We will review the Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center RFP, and we will review the Oyster Bay Disc Golf Club Special Use Agreement. Of course, at any time, we may add more items as the year goes on. For informational reports and discussion topics, I will bring forward a review of the 2021 Board Operations Committee work plan this time next year. I will also bring forward the 2022 Board Operations Committee draft work plan for the following year. We will have an update from reservable facilities and another annual update from Tidewater. We will receive updates from both of the interpretive and recreation service units, as well as the 3 park operations units that we did not cover this year, those being Delta, Interpretive Parklands, and Shoreline. I will bring forth the annual review of concession maintenance fund, concession and special use revenues. We will get another update from MAST. We hope to provide a camping program update next year, as well as an update of our Civicor crew program. With that said, we'll open up this floor to discussion for any items that we wish to add for next year.
Directors, what's your pleasure?
It's a long list.
Yeah. Do you have any additions? I have a couple. Dennis?
Go ahead, lead us.
Yeah, I love this list. I think it's great. I was wondering if, an area of great interest to me and great opportunity, I think, is the new trails crew that is coming on, and also the existing trails crew with SCA. I find that to be fascinating. I find it to be an area in which I hope we're going to be moving in the future. So I'd love to hear an update on from those guys on what they're accomplishing. And I know it's great stuff, but I'd like to keep them in the focus. I don't know if it would be this committee, but Redwood Canyon Golf Course is doing great work, really moving ahead. I was out there this morning and they're drilling for water, trying to develop some wells out there. I don't know if should be this committee or the liaison committee with East Bay Mud, but I'd sure like to get another update from those guys. And and once again, I don't know that this is IPM, but I think I think everything's operations myself. But the mysterious tree die-off that's occurring, I don't know what committee that should go to, but I'd like to think that operations obviously are going to bear the brunt of it if eucalyptus and bay and everything's dying off or something's going on. And I'd like to hear a report on that if we could.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Director Waspy. Obviously, we'd be more than happy to have it here at operations, but I'm going to guess that I know it's already on Pamela Bite's radar, and I'm going to guess it's going to show up at Natural Cultural Resources. But let me check in with stewardship, and we'll make sure we get a report out. I'm sure that's going to happen at some point next year. I know they're in the evaluation phase. I would be more than glad to add in the Trails crew update to operations. That's totally appropriate, and Patrick's doing such a great job with that. And yeah, we'll add that to the list, Director Waspy.
Excellent, thank you.
All right. Yeah, Dennis hit on, or I should say Director Waspy hit on my exact curiosity and wanting to hear a report on the Small Trails crew. And then he got both of mine. Is there, that would probably be Natural Cultural Resources. But update on the blue-green algae. That's probably Natural Cultural Resources, but
yeah, Matt's been doing that. Matt's been doing that regularly at Natural Cultural Resources, but I will mention to him that you asked about it.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's hearing. Yes, go ahead, Jim.
I just wanted to mention to the committee is that Tiffany, I don't know if you know, but the Dumbarton Camp Store has been a challenge. Tiffany went out to RFP once and received 0 proposals. That includes both a camp host site in the campground as well as managing the store. So we're going to do a better effort at putting that out to RFP again. But we are also looking at an alternate pathway where we have a camp host, because I don't want to have that campground without somebody on site. So we're gonna go with a dual pathway. We're gonna try and go out to RFP for the whole package, the store and the camp host site. We're also going to go out with just a camp host proposal, because I really can't see opening that campground without having somebody living there, because I just can't imagine what might happen there. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a heads up on that we're doing that dual pathway on that to make sure we have somebody there.
Yeah. Would you consider just putting up a trailer there and have an employee?
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that as a what do you call it, a caretaker type of situation. We could do that also, but that's one thing we're thinking about.
Director Wieskamp.
I don't know whether we've considered it, but I really have always admired the regional occupant, the kids who get in that program and learn occupations. Sometimes it's kitchens, sometimes it's actual catering. Would it be feasible to talk to the schools to see if they could help operate the store part?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, this is unfortunate.
It's a training program.
Yeah, the store didn't work out quite the way I had envisioned originally because of the permitting challenges. Nowadays the code requirements for actual food production on site are pretty onerous for food safety. And so we're mostly doing prepackaged food, which I think is why a lot of we did not get any proposals. At least we heard some feedback on that. But that's an interesting idea. We'll go out to the city of Fremont, see what's going on there with the high schools.
And you might Newark also.
Yeah, that's true. It's right there.
But I think there a lot of kids get a good start there and learn a lot. And it makes them start appreciating the fact of earning a living and the different ways you can do it. And so if we could work something like that in, I do think you need somebody to manage the place, but there's no reason why a program couldn't potentially help them learn what they can do to survive in life these days.
It wasn't that long ago, Dennis will remember when the district used to run its own concessions.
Okay. It's a different world right now.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. We may be back there again.
The
way this is going.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Okay.
Did Director Wieskamp have any additions?
I think you've got a long list. I admire how you get through it. I think you've got the essentials. Somebody may come up with something else, but I think in the moment I'm satisfied. You've got enough going there to keep you busy and out of trouble.
Thank you. So for the sake of memorialization, I have an update for the New Trails crew and SEA update in general for next year, as well as an informational update for Redwood Canyon Golf Course. And then two other items, they may potentially be Natural and Cultural Resources Committee, including the invasive mysterious tree blight and an update on the oxygenation system and cyanobacteria.
That's good.
Great.
Great, thank you.
That's everything for me. Happy holidays.
Well, thank you so much.
Let's hope for the world being happier and moving positively forward, right? Let's all look forward to a shot.
Okay. We're at the end of our agenda. Let's see further board comments. Let's start with Director Wieskamp.
Honestly, I think it's been a very good year. We've covered lots of subjects. We have given new assignments to our poor staff here, but you always get it done. I'm always impressed with that. And it's amazing the number of things we have to keep tabs on. Enjoy your holiday, however you can do it safely. That's it.
Director Waspy.
Well, and I just like to express my appreciation for being on the operations committee. It's very exciting, all the stuff you guys do. In fact, it's amazing all the stuff you guys do. And I love using the word resiliency. And this year has been you guys have been incredibly resilient and very productive, and I appreciate it. And wish you all a great holiday season, and hopefully we'll all be back to normal sometime next year, early next year.
Early, I like that. Good.
Thank you, Director Waspy.
Great. I too, very appreciative of the work we've all done together this year on this committee. Thank you to the ad hoc, our special assignment there. I thought that went really well, and I appreciate the extra time and attention. Right now, I want to make sure that our, with this latest, how do we call it, event regarding how we deal with cats. I'm really worried about our crew out there at Martin Luther King, and I just want to make sure that they have all the resources available to them for counseling and whatnot. I know when I went through a similar event at Redwood, I basically dragged in a counselor to counsel the whole crew, and very, very helpful. And I just want to make sure that they know that they have that, and know that we're thinking about them as well. And then your next chair is going to be Director Corbett. And I do know one thing she likes is she likes to see the contracts in front of her when you bring up a contract. So you should be prepared for that. But otherwise, I think you're going to have another successful year. And happy holidays to everyone. And oh, one last thing. I just wanted to reiterate the keeping the demographics or keeping track of demographics and all the programs that we provide. It's very important. I know I have a couple of constituents who are after me on that, and I have a request, and I think Deborah Ocker is going to be providing me with those numbers soon. But I think it's very important that we go forward to keeping track of who we're serving, and so that people can see and the public can see that our money is going where we say it's going, and that we're serving the public that is underserved. And with that, I just want to thank you all, and please have a very safe and warm holiday. And let's hope we have a better year next year. There's hope around the corner. Yeah.
Got to be better. And Director Rosero, just for the record, I don't think we have anybody in for public comments, but we probably should just cover that item just in case.
Yes. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments?
No, we don't.
Great, thank you.
That comes from having a positive agenda.
And last words from the Assistant General Manager.
Well, I want to thank the committee. Normally we close out the year. We have a nice kind of a celebratory lunch. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that. We missed that. We usually like to bring in some treats for all of you at the very end here. But I want to say thank you for writing this out with us. It was a difficult year, but after that initial craziness, we kind of pulled things together. I'm so proud of the operations staff. I just cannot say enough about that. The way the INR staff pivoted into a digital world and actually provided all the support to parents and teachers. Operations staff getting out there every day and keeping those parks open for the public, and the communities needed it. I know I've used our parks a lot. And then also just getting everything functional again, and also just keeping up with project work and taking an opportunity of when we did have a lull to get some work done, some significant projects district wide. And so it's been a great year, and I appreciate all of your support, and I look forward to next year. So thank you so much for your support.
Great.
It's mutual.
And then with that, especially now that you mentioned it, special shout out to everybody out in the field.
Right.
Tremendous work that they've all done, from fire to park rangers. Just to have the added stress of they have to be out there and doing it, and that extra exposure is more stress. So I'm very appreciative of their efforts in keeping our parks open.
And Director Rosaro, just so you know, I am going to take a visit out to MLK tomorrow and visit with staff and check in with them on that issue. So I have been through that several times in my career, so
yeah,
I can empathize with what they're going through. So I am going to check in with them.
They will appreciate your being there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Great. Thank you so much. All right.
Holiday.
Holidays, everyone.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Good leadership, Dee.
Thank you.